Welcome to the Northeast Kingdom Voice. I'm your host, Scott Wheeler. Today's guest is straight from Jerusalem, Suzanne Pomeranz. Welcome back to the show because I believe you were on the show several months, maybe a year ago, to talk about.
It's
Not really. It was been that long. Back then, we were talking about your life in Jerusalem, but since then, a lot has happened. So let's start off by talking just a bit. So the way I got in contact with you, you actually have a sister who lives in Newport, and so since then, I've started having you come on the show just to talk about Israel. How long have you been here?
I started coming to Israel in the end of 1979. That was my first visit. I won't tell you how old I was. And
Right.
and in 1981, I came for a year and a half. And between 1981 and 1993, I lived in Israel some. I lived in the States again. I was in Canada for a short time, like that, back and forth. In 1993, a good friend in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, said to me, "Suzanne, we love having you here, but your heart is not here. Pack." And that was in February of 93, and I understood exactly what she meant. And by June of 93, I was back in Israel, and I've lived here ever since. I became a citizen officially in May of 1994.
So why with all the places in the world you could have chosen to live, and you did try some different places, why Israel?
Well, my father was Jewish. My mother was Southern Baptist. We were all six of us, three sons and three daughters. We're all raised going to church. I learned a lot about the Bible. I learned a lot about Israel in the ancient sense that way. But I also got to be very close with aunts and uncles on my father's side. And I don't know, when I finally came in 1979 for a 2.5-week visit, I'll tell you what happened. I flew over on, I forget which airline, doesn't matter. And when I arrived, this was before we had jetways. I stepped out of the plane onto the top of the stairs. We had to go down the steps onto the tarmac into a bus to go to the terminal. And I took a quick look around, and at the bottom of the steps on each side were two young women. Both of them were wearing tight jeans. They each had on a long white t-shirt all the way down to the knees, tied with a knot on the hip. That was the style. Small sort of heels. I was shocked at the heels. Anyway, each one was carrying a walkie-talkie in one hand, and it was a very large thing in 1979, a walkie-talkie. Nothing very easy. And in the other hand, each one was holding a rifle. I said to myself, "Welcome to Israel." And I went to the terminal in the bus. I listened to people talking in many languages all around me. I was not nervous. I did not feel strange. I felt like I was at home. It was a revelation to me. If you're Jewish, no matter in what way, Israel is home. It's been the home of the Jewish people, of the Israelites, the Hebrews, the Israelites, and the Jewish people for at least 3,500 years, actually a little more. So I felt exactly in the right place. I met cousins and stayed overnight with some, and also met up with Christian friends from my hometown in North Carolina who were working as volunteers in hospitals and old age homes and so forth, which was very exciting. And and I just got to know people, and I knew this was the place for me. I had a job in North Carolina, so I had to go back. It took me then a little while to get my finances in order and move out of the place I was living and store everything. And then I started coming here and other places back and forth until I knew this had to be the place for me. So that's really how it started.
Yeah. And the have you seen? Well, needless to say, the last bit here, the last few weeks have been really tough, or actually the last few months or year. But what was it? Well, what was it like when you first arrived? Greater Jerusalem or Greater Israel compared
It
to
was
today?
quiet, peaceful, lovely. It's actually the same now, but with a tinge of um, maybe closer paying attention to things, maybe a little bit on edge at times, watching people more deliberately. But still, it's actually relatively quiet here. Where I live is an old neighborhood outside the old city. It's not in the old city, and I live in an old building, probably one of the first buildings in this neighborhood. We only have 6 apartments in this small building, which makes it very nice. But in the what used to be a beautiful vacant lot next door, the people are building a 5-story, 20 apartment building, which is on the east side of my apartment and will block out a lot of the sun, which won't be very nice when it's built, but it's going to take years to build it. They're not out of the ground yet. And they've been working since last summer in doing this. So
Yeah, I
that's not peaceful and quiet. There's a lot of banging around over there. But anyway, that's it's I walked everywhere. At the time when I moved in to stay for a while, I lived in a neighborhood close to the center of town. I walked everywhere. I went to the grocery store nearby. I did my laundry at a small place up the street. It was home, and I worked. I worked several different kinds of jobs. I worked at a Christian NGO for a year. I worked as a temporary secretary through agencies. So I got to meet people all over Jerusalem and work at very many different and interesting places. That was a great experience. And and then I went to tour guide school and became a licensed Israeli tour guide. Unfortunately, since 2020, I haven't had much work. So I'm looking for something else, but have been. But it's not so easy these days. So.
Now, when you say you haven't had too much work, I know, if I recall right from our last interview, COVID really
Yeah,
impacted your business. But are you saying that the current affairs are also because people aren't traveling so
that's the
much to
problem.
visit your country
Here's what
or
I,
that
here's what I
country?
say when people say, "How you doing?" I say, and this is in Hebrew, but I'll explain. I say, "Ein li tayarim, ein li avodah, ein li kesef." No, I have no tourists. I have no work. I have no money. So, They sort of all go
uh,
together now. On the one hand, people are afraid to come here. On the other hand, and the big part of it is, I know El Al is flying, but I don't know if there are any other airlines currently flying to or from Israel. Uh, we we uh, we have things
right,
change almost on a daily basis, where airlines will say, yes, we're coming,
right.
and then the next day something happens and they say, never mind, we're not. So we don't know what's going on, and people are afraid to come. In my opinion, it's more dangerous in the United States, obviously, for Jews. I read all the time about difficulties there for Jews, and it's more dangerous than here, in my opinion. You never know who,
Yeah,
what.
it has been interesting to watch the the Jewish hatred come
Yeah.
out on the college campuses, particularly. I personally, my belief is that's been simmering in the college communities for years, and it's now they've found a reason to to more publicly direct their
Right.
anti-Semitism.
And what's interesting about that is that if you ask some of those students at what we usually call the most prestigious universities in the country, where is Israel, and show them a map, they don't have any idea. You know,
Oh yeah, no, you're. I believe you are exactly right. Now, so when I think of Israel right now, if I went just by the
oh gosh,
media, which
don't go by
I
the media.
try to, uh,
Go on.
yeah, and yeah, I would swear you guys were all hunkered down and living in fear. But that, you're telling me there's a tinge of that, but it sounds like you're living a vibrant life
Yesterday
still.
there was a siren that covered the whole of the central part of Israel, including up the coast a little bit, Tel Aviv and so forth, and Jerusalem, and all the way down to Hebron, and all the way down. It's not that far. And yes, the Houthis from Yemen, they seem to think that we need missiles here. So they keep sending us little presents, well, big presents. But thankfully, we have really amazing um, systems in place that intercept them. We have the Iron Dome. There's one called the Arrow. There's one called David's Sling, and there's two or three more now that I don't know the names of, and they are all situated in specific areas, and they can intercept the missiles no matter where they come from. The problem is not the missile, the problem is the shrapnel. When it falls, it sometimes lands on somebody's house or on people. And when the siren blows, most people, I'm going to probably 80% anyway of the population, go into their safe rooms if they have one in their apartments or their houses, or they go to bomb shelters, which can take anywhere from a few seconds to a couple of minutes to get to by running, depending on where they are. And I don't go anywhere. I just sit at my
Right.
computer. I curse the siren and and the
Right.
Houthis, and I just keep writing. You can look on my page and you can see my posts about that, because I post the image from the IDF of the siren where it shows on the screen, and like that. So yeah,
And you,
what?
do you get your news? Because doesn't I believe the IDF puts out their news, and what
The
is the
Israel
IDF?
Defense Forces. It's our army. but it's called the Israel Defense
And
Forces because here's our expression. We like this. We don't start the war, but we are going to finish it. We have never started a war
and
here. Never. People think we have. We have never been the group to start the war. It's always from somewhere else. Even in 1967, when we made a preemptive strike on the Egyptian Air Force, it was because Egypt, Gamal Abdel Nasser, had already removed the international force in the Sinai that was facing our border and put his own army there. He had engaged al-Assad, Hafez al-Assad of Syria, to join him in a fight against Israel to destroy us, was his words. And we have an expression that's in the Talmud based on an event that's recorded in the book of Deuteronomy in the Bible. We have a comment that says, if you know, this is the important part, if you know someone is coming to kill you, rise up and kill him first. And that gave the government, on finding that, on looking at that, on understanding that, the permission to make a preemptive strike and destroyed the Egyptian Air Force as the plane set on the ground. If we had not done that, we would not have had a 6-day war and we would not have won. We also have the IAF, which is the Israel Air Force, and that's who took care of a lot of the situation in Iran over the last couple of months.
right. So I was going to ask you about that. When you heard that Israel had bombed Iran, what went through your mind?
Hallelujah, it's about time.
Were you nervous
No,
though? Because you
no,
did you
I was
figure
never nervous.
that
I've never been nervous about any of it. I trust the IDF. I trust the high-ranking officers in the army. I have not for a long time been a fan of Bibi Netanyahu, the prime minister, but I support him and trust that he knows what he's doing. And he's the strongest prime minister we've had in a very long time like this. Iran, since 1979, the regime in Iran is Arab Islamic. The people of Iran are not Arabs, they are Persians. And to have an Arab Islamic regime controlling them is simply not right. It's very bad. And so anything we can do to stop it, I'm in favor. No, I wasn't afraid. Our guys, our Israel Air Force pilots, and we have people on the ground in Iran for a long time. So our intelligence gatherers, everybody knows what they're doing and is doing a good job of it. The problem with Iran has been this.
Yep.
They control Hamas in Gaza, and there is also some Hamas people in Judea and Samaria, what the media calls the West Bank, which is an illegal term, has no reality in it. But Judea and Samaria are the historic names of that area. They promote and help Hezbollah in Lebanon, and the Houthis in Yemen, and militias in Iraq, and like that, and now the mess in Syria. About Syria, yesterday, I'll tell you this right now while it's on my mind. Yesterday in Syria, the IDF apprehended in southern Syria a unit of an Iranian group of Iranian soldiers in Syria, in southern Syria. Yeah. I don't
Right.
know if it was in the news at all. We doubt that it was in American news broadcasts because the primarily American so-called news broadcasts are primarily anti-Israel. So they don't promote anything that would come out in favor of Israel. That's a big problem for us, but we know that's the truth. So that happened yesterday. I think it will probably be discussed in tonight's updating from the IDF spokesperson because everybody here knows about it.
Now, can anybody listen to those
Absolutely, it's
updates?
on the
Like, are
internet.
those?
So
And how do you get to that?
I thought I sent you the link, but I'll check again and send you the link to
Okay.
tonight's. You just have to join.
So
You don't have to be in Israel. You
here's
don't
another
have to be in
question.
Israel
We
to
only
join. You can be anywhere.
right. So we only have
Okay,
about like a minute.
let me give
I
you
do
the
have
other
to ask you though.
updates right now so you can decide. A
Okay.
couple of other things that you need to know. In Gaza, people are always telling us that we're terrible people in Gaza, that all we want to do is destroy the innocent civilians. Here's the truth. Most of the people in Gaza support Hamas. Most. They're starting to wake up a little bit, but not enough. Um, what happens is this: every person who's a member of Hamas knows that if they need a weapon, they can go into somebody's home and they can go to a child's room. And if the room has on its bed, get this, a blanket of SpongeBob, uh, a SpongeBob blanket, they know there's a weapon underneath the bed for them. How about that?
Really?
Yep,
Never heard of
that's the
that.
truth. People don't believe me. It's the truth. I only speak the truth. I don't make things up. People can all the time criticize Israel and say we destroy hospitals and schools and hurt all these people. The hospitals are used as military sites by Hamas. All of the hospitals, and there are a lot of them, and they're all from different countries that gave the money. And those countries don't stop Hamas from using them as military sites. UNRWA, the United Nations school system, we know are members of Hamas. The school teachers are members of Hamas, like that. Uh, uh, just yesterday, the IDF found more tunnels underneath Gaza. We now have something like 1,100 miles of tunnels. That's about 500 kilometers, I think is what I was told. 1,100 miles of tunnels full of weapons. And somewhere along there are our people who've been held hostage for more than 600 days. So what do we do about that? One other thing I wanted to mention was the Abraham Accords. The reason I want to mention them is because I want people to understand this region of the world. And Israel is the only democracy in this part of the world. We're the only democracy. We have people here who are not just Jews, but Muslims, Christians, I don't know, everybody. I mean, people from everywhere live in Israel. People of every religion live in Israel and live safely, protected by the government. Muslims are in every kind of organization, every government agency. Um, we have a Muslim who runs one of the biggest banks in the city, in the country, who's in charge, like that. we don't discriminate, no matter what other people might think. The thing is that we're surrounded by countries that hate us. Every country around us is Islamic. Every one, including Turkey. Turkey, Iraq, Iran, uh, Iran, the regime is Islamic, not the people. Syria, of course, we worry about Syria because the guy who's now in charge of Syria is supposedly former ISIS. We have an expression about Putin of Russia. We say Putin was KGB, once KGB, always KGB, right? So we say the same about this guy from ISIS. He's probably still in ISIS, and if you recall, that's one of the most dangerous Muslim organizations there is. And so everywhere, Lebanon, I said Iraq, Kuwait, all of the Emirates, Jordan, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, of course, Egypt, Sudan, all of them are Muslim. Let's say they all join the Abraham Accords. What do you think they'll do then? Gang up on Israel. And
Right.
I don't trust them, not as far as I could throw them, as we say.
So I got to ask you, what did you think when you heard the U.S. military bombed Iran's nuclear
Right, the
capacity?
three sites. Well, we asked him to do it. Wasn't a surprise. It was a matter of time. We asked him, the government of Israel asked him to please send your B-2 or your B-52, one of them, not one plane, but one type, and please help us out this way. So it wasn't a surprise. We knew it was going to happen sooner or later. We were happy it happened a bit sooner. There's still more trouble in Iran for us. They're not done with trying to get to us. And by the way, we laughed about the whole idea of a ceasefire. Iran never agreed to a ceasefire. And if they pretended to, we knew that it was a pretending thing, that they weren't going to do it. And they didn't. They attacked us right away. So we retaliated, and we will continue to retaliate no matter what President Trump says. Look, I'm a dual citizen. I'm American and Israeli. When I'm in the United States, I'm subject to the laws of the United States. But when I'm in Israel, I'm an Israeli citizen, and my life is here. My interest is mostly here, and I believe and support everything our government does to protect us, whatever it takes.
Right. Okay, well, we've got to wrap up, but we've got to have you back on eventually after, after there is peace in the Middle East.
If you're gonna wait for that, it'll never happen.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for coming on. It was great having you on. Stay safe, and any parting words?
No, come to visit. You're welcome to come and visit. I'm a licensed tour guide. I guide all over the country. I'm happy to show you places you probably didn't know existed, or all the places you'd like to see as well, and to get involved in things, to meet people. My idea as a tour guide is not just to show sites, but to introduce you to the people of the country and talk to them and get to know them. My friend Sammy called me yesterday. He's a retired tailor. His native language is Aramaic. He speaks 7 languages. He lives in the old city of Jerusalem. He's about 10 years older than I am. We've been great friends for a long time. When I take people to see him and meet him, he reads the Lord's Prayer to them in Aramaic. It's very exciting to hear him. It's his native #1 language, and it's quite amazing. So he's just one of many that I want people to meet, because then you find out about this country, which is, in my opinion, the best country. I like the United States, but Israel is, in my opinion, the best country in the world.
Thank you for coming on, and thank you to the viewers and listeners for tuning in to another segment of the Northeast Kingdom Voice.